The federal government is hoping to increase competition in the grocery sector by bringing foreign players to Canada. Turns out that may not be an easy task. Gary Sands is vice president of the Canadian Federation of Independent Grocers. Thanks for being with us, Gary.
Glad to be here today. Thank you.
So let's start with the concept, this notion that we can bring in international competition. Do you think that will be feasible?
No, I don't. Every time I hear somebody in the government say that, I shake my head in surprise and disbelief. First of all, I doubt very, very much you're going to see a foreign retail grocery chain move into Canada. It's just the market has just become too consolidated here and entrenched. And it's not just at the retail level that it's become consolidated. That's permeated down to the wholesale and distributor level. So in Ontario, for example, the two biggest wholesalers, never mind retail chains where the consumer sees, the two biggest wholesalers in this province are Sobeys and Loblaw. So when X retail foreign grocery chain comes into this province, who's going to be their wholesaler? Who's going to be the distributor?
So it's a whole life cycle problem. I've heard and seen suggestions that our market is complex because of things like, French language labeling, different packaging, different, cross-border issues from one province to another. Does all of that make the Canadian market more complex than another?
I think it does, but it's a cumulative impact of a number of factors. I still would put all of this, Amanda, within the context of or the framework of consolidation. Successive governments have allowed this industry to become overly consolidated, and the horse has not just left the barn; it's jumped the fence and has left the farm.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you fix that in terms of another retail grocery chain entering the market. All the issues you cited are absolutely factors, but how are you going to be able to compete if you're coming into this country new? Within the kind of market that we've allowed in Canada to develop. And the second thing I think is also important to keep in mind, I think it's a little misleading for the government to hold this out as some sort of magic bullet solution to rising food prices. Mm-hmm. How is another retail food giant coming into Canada going to help mitigate the impact of food prices and the factors that drive those up, such as the war in Ukraine, climate change, droughts, wildfires, etc. I just don't see that.
We don't have a ton of time, 30 seconds here, Gary, but what I'm hearing you say is we've allowed a lack of competition to so permeate our systems here that we can't create competition by inviting more players. Maybe you could say the same about our banking and our telecom, but you would say that's true in the food industry?
I do say it's true in the food industry. The only thing I would add, and I know I'm a little biased, obviously, for whom I speak, but the Competition Bureau recommended to the government that all governments across Canada do more to support the Canadian independent grocers that are here already and are in a myriad of communities where there is no other grocery chain. That's what the government should be focused on. How can we help existing Canadian smaller and medium-sized grocers compete?
Good thought. Gary Sands, so good to have your voice on this. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Gary Sands is Vice President of the Canadian Federation of Independent Grocers. Time for the takeaway and the importance of good packaging. Just in time for Earth Day earlier this week, representatives from 176 countries gathered in Ottawa to try to hammer out a deal on global plastics after an historic agreement brokered by the United Nations a couple of years ago, which promised that the nations of the world would reach consensus on how to handle plastic by the end of 2024. Of course, what that even means quickly became the heart of the conversation. Not in dispute is the damage that plastic waste does to our planet and the organisms on it. Microscopic particles of plastic have been found in the DNA of newborns, and plastic waste litters the ocean, visual reminders that we humans are fouling our own backyard. But what to do about plastic is a tougher question. It's an extremely useful category of chemicals with properties that are hard to replicate. Doing away with it altogether would be difficult. Limiting its use has led to policies like Canada's single-use plastics ban, but the proposed treaty would go way further and contemplate everything from caps on production to better recycling to efforts to reduce consumption. Perhaps all of the above is required, but already the devil is at the table as the details get hammered out, with vested interests on all sides arguing their case, so that what started as a 30-page document is now 110 pages and counting. The most ambitious countries want to see plastic pollution ended by 2040, with a set of policies aimed at reducing its production, recycling, and banning certain chemicals used to make plastics. Getting agreement on anything that aggressive seems unlikely, but it is worth the effort of bringing disparate countries and industry voices together, because make no mistake, industry is playing a role in these negotiations, with a goal of reaching some kind of understanding on plastic. Everyone can see the scale of the problem. Solving it is complicated, but possible. My takeaway? Earth Day is a good reminder of something we would do well to remember every day. We've only got the one planet. We'd be wise to treat it kindly. That's Taking Stock for this week. I'm Amanda Lang. Thanks for being with us.